London calling, YouTube, London calling everyone. And I am going to explain before I introduce tonight's guests that for tonight's show, several straight, white, cisgendered men were invited and couldn't make it for one reason or another. Just in case anyone accuses me of anything, it just turned out the way it did, and it's their loss. So we don't get to ask anyone to check their privilege, and we won't have anybody mansplaining tonight. But I think I'll go, if you'll all introduce each other, I'll go alphabetically, and I suppose the Bun comes first, who is new. Hello, Bun.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us all something, just I don't know, a random fact about yourself, or just anything really?
I have 3 college credits in psychology. I've been immersed in social justice pretty much my entire life, and I use they/them pronouns.
Aha. And Catie, we met you briefly last time. Just tell us anything you like about yourself.
I'm playing Pokemon right now.
Excellent.
Yay!
Oh, I'm so jealous now.
And Queenie, say anything you wish.
I am schizophrenic, and I am also a queen. Worship me! No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so glad. For anyone who's heard last week's show, I'm so glad I don't have to call everybody Dave. So, right. Well, without further ado then, the first topic tonight comes from an article from The Guardian Online, and basically this is it's a UK story, gay asylum seekers face humiliation. Basically, if you're a gay or bisexual man, I say man because it seems to just refer to male homosexual and bisexual people, you could be asked, basically interrogated with such questions as: did you put your penis into X's backside? When X was penetrating you, did you have an erection? Did X ejaculate inside you? And bizarrely, why did you use a condom? Where obviously I think we can be quite reasonable in assuming that no straight person was ever asked, did you put your penis into her vagina? And as I'm the only, I'm a bisexual man, so I guess I'm the only gay or bisexual male in the room. So although I'm the host, I'll say, personally, although you could make the case that if they're asylum seekers, they're fleeing worse than that, that would be a very flimsy kind of justification or excuse. And no, I would not be comfortable with some official who's a complete stranger asking me those questions, which is about
Did
all I
you
have.
put your pee-pee in your bumhole?
So,
I'm so glad I was muted. That's so hard. I'm sorry, Alex.
That's all right. So, okay, going alphabetically. Bum, do you have any opinion on this story?
I think that it's downright disgusting. I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, if you're going to be that invasive, you have to give that treatment to absolutely everybody. That includes straight, cisgender people. And, it's just proof of that discriminatory action that's being taken, which is pretty, ironic to me, considering the fact that, ever since the Olympics in Sochi, every country has been claiming that we're so pro-gay, and yet stuff like this is happening. And I think it's just proof that all of the pro-LGBT propaganda that's been putting out is really false, because if this kind of stuff is still happening, it's fairly obvious that everybody's just doing this to seem like the bigger person.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. They want you to focus on the very surface stuff, like obviously very recently the UK, we have marriage equality now, including Scotland, which is fantastic.
Yay.
But there's still stuff very pervasive that's just, not great. Catie, your view?
Yeah, pretty much what she said. It's pretty disgusting, and I It doesn't refer to women at all. It seemed really centered towards gay men.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's just because it was only taking the perspective of men, and there are also disgusting questions that are related to women, or if it's weirdly sexist that way, but I have no idea.
I've only got the Guardian's article to go by, so it could be that it happens to gay and bisexual women as well. And where, Queenie?
Well, I'm pretty much on the same page as Bun and Catie here. I mean, from the military perspective, because I was in the military, woo, hooray for me, whatever. I guess it's kind of their job to keep people out, but at the same time, it's grossly inhumane and deeply humiliating, and I don't approve of it.
Okay. I tell you what, I'll move swiftly on to the next topic, unless anybody else has anything to add.
It just occurred, I don't mean that it just occurred to me now, but, it occurs to me that people are, at schools and, in gyms, they all fit women and men into their own dressing rooms.
Mm.
And I don't understand, why they do that, because if there are women that like women in that locker room, as there may well be, why? I don't get it.
Yeah, it is a very sexist view in that sense, and I think that's the most aggravating part of it is the fact that it is a outright oppression of only gay males is a sign that this really is run by a bunch of crotchety old homophobic men, and really their only concern is I don't want that gay man coming here and putting his peen in my son's butthole, and it's really, really frustrating because I don't know, I felt like we were past that.
It seems really weird that they're, really concerned about things that have nothing to do with what they're normally, what their area is.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of work to do as a society.
Indeed.
I sound like a dork saying that, but I think it's true.
This current government that we have in the UK right now is definitely very concerned with looking good, as Bun said. David Cameron was completely against gay rights a few years ago. And, he's the one who introduced gay marriage suddenly as a bill.
Oh.
So it's gay marriage, marriage equality, same-sex marriage. When you sort of think, mind you, the same guy, of course, praised Nelson Mandela after he was dead, but was part of a group a few decades ago calling for Mandela's execution, and was part of a Tory election campaign that had the tagline, "If you want a nigger for a neighbour, vote Lib Dem or Labour." So, interesting how these politicians change their views as the tide changes.
Sometimes I think maybe the whole LGBT acceptance, after Russia was all oh, we don't like the gays, sort of thing. I think it's potentially just another way to fight communism.
It's also, there was a very interesting quote I saw that said, the reason we're still, even holding the Olympics in Sochi, but still taking these passive-aggressive actions is because Russia is foreign enough for us to feel above them, but white enough for us to be civil.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Okay, anything else anybody wants to add?
Nope.
Okay, so the next topic is I've actually got two articles to do with, I suppose, body image. The first is, I may be the only person in this call old enough to remember. It was 10 years ago that Dove, and for anyone who doesn't know, Dove is predominantly a soap manufacturer, and I guess Dove is mainly aimed at women. And they launched Real Beauty, which was for real women. And I actually like the idea of only, like, just hiring models who look like normal people, where a woman would say, oh, that's somebody who looks like me. And it's an attainable figure, and they are attractive, and there's no Photoshop. And it's something that hasn't gone away over the past 10 years. And there's a couple of videos here sort of just showing exactly how much work goes into, you know, faking this unattainable, unrealistic image. And I have had one person who was supposed to be on tonight but couldn't make it. That's actually you, James. I don't think you'll mind me mentioning it. And you, James, did point out that there is another side to this, arguably, that it is a backlash, which is good in a way to have a backlash against something like this. But at the same time, you're saying, oh, this is real beauty. These are real women, where suddenly they become the supremacists, and you can actually get abuse for being really thin, wearing lots of makeup and stuff. So, and yes, you can be cynical and say, well, Dove are just aiming at another part of the market. Well, yes, but then they're in the business of selling soap, and if they were taking advantage of a situation by saying, we're going to start the ball rolling for this backlash, and they make money out of that, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. The other thing is that Barbie, and there was a thing not long ago about Barbie, if she were a real person, couldn't stand up, couldn't walk, and would be dead. That's how unrealistic. So she's literally anatomically impossible. And this more recent story is that rather than the Barbie, whichever corporation it is, being apologetic or anything.
It's Mattel.
Okay, right. Sandhill? So, yeah, they basically, despite a 13% drop in profits, because, let's face it, they haven't adapted enough to survive into the 21st century. I don't think this product deserves to, just my opinion. But they've now colluded with, is it Sports Illustrated, to actually, like, put her on a cover and have her, like on the boot of on the bonnet of a car, like some kind of glamour kind of thing. So almost, it looks to me like they're like kind of giving the middle finger to their critics in a way that I think is very unhelpful and very stupid, because they are already, people have got wise to them and are sick of them. You haven't adapted. So I suppose I just like to go alphabetically, so I'll start with the bum again. Thoughts?
I think that it's a very fine line to walk in terms of the Dove issue, because while I can understand a opposing view to the Dove campaign, because I am very pro, like, if you feel that there's something wrong with your body, or you have some kind of dysphoria, you have all the right to correct it, and it's absolutely your right to wear a lot of makeup and doll yourself up if that makes you feel good. I mean, I know on days that I feel genuinely more female, I have a habit of doing that, and it makes me feel good. And there's also a negative connotation that these women do get, because they are generally considered to be less intelligent, which is absolutely not true. So while when I initially saw the Dove body campaign, I was very excited about it, because I especially liked the racial and, like, bodily diverse representation. I think that there is an air of, like, shaming women who do put on what some people would call an ingenuine persona, which I don't think is true. So it's really half and half for me in terms of that issue, because while I think that we should always protect women's rights to manipulate and doll up their body however they wish to, especially considering there are, at least in U.S. laws, like over 100 laws regulating women's bodies, I also think that it's very important to have that kind of representation. And in terms of the Barbie one, I think that's kind of disappointing, really, because, like, growing up, I did play with Barbies a lot, but I do definitely think that there needs to be some kind of action taken. It is a company, and companies need to evolve with the times if they want to continue to flourish. And if people are becoming more body positive and want to see different dolls and stuff that represent them, then I don't see why the company wouldn't just give in and try to pursue that route. If anything, they're the company that can do it best because they've had that model and renowned reputation for making such good dolls for so many years. So the fact that they're backlashing like this, I think, is really immature and is kind of a bad sign for just their rep on the market.
Yep, I completely agree with that. And next, Catie?
Going backwards here, I really do not like Barbies in general. I mean, I did play with them, but I didn't play with them the way that you would think that I would play with them. I have no sympathy for anyone that leads that company or creates Barbies or whatever. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. As far as the Dove body campaign goes, I like it and don't like it. I saw a post a couple months ago on Tumblr that was shaming the Real Body campaign or whatever because it said real, as though supermodels are not real and there are not people that are that skinny and that tall or with that body type or whatever. But I think you can say the other thing, that real doesn't necessarily mean that that body type doesn't exist, just that what people are doing is literally photoshopping and making, anatomically impossible things happen on magazine covers and billboards, and not necessarily that those women are literally impossible.
Yeah. Queenie?
Jeez, my only experience playing with Barbies was my brothers ripping their heads off, but that's just sort of how they went.
I used to try to put clothes on them, but they were so stiff that I couldn't, so I ended up just letting them be naked all the time.
The Barbie nudist beach. But,
get yours today.
I don't have much of an opinion on the whole Barbie thing. I mean, obviously, if they're a company that's refusing to move with the times, they're not going to be making a product for very much longer. And as far as the whole Dove real woman sort of campaign thing, what is a real woman? That's my whole beef with it, because, I wouldn't even say beef, because it's not necessarily with the campaign itself, it's with the sort of, the recent atmosphere.
Ambiguous terminology.
Yeah, and there's a lot of this sort of push and pull, nobody wants to sleep with a twig or whatever sort of thing, and you see that more and more often. And it's kind of weird, because when I was growing up and being thin was the thing, I was a very chubby child. I was never thin until very recently, and I'm only sort of thin. But it's kind of like I fall on the wrong side of the fence no matter what's going on. And I'm kind of just like, what is a real woman? What do you people want from me? I don't know what you're talking about. I just have these really outlandish ideas of what it's supposed to be a woman, because there's all this information coming in.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of sad that, I've always figured that fashion trends are going to come and go no matter what, but the fact that body types themselves are trending and that races and skin tones are considered to be more beautiful than one another is just really frustrating. And it seems like no matter what, whenever we try to accommodate to one side, we do too much. Because that seems to be the problem. Like, initially, I liked the body positivity movement when it was encouraging chubbier girls to be more fond of their bodies, especially, like, with my girlfriend. She is a bigger girl, and it took me forever to convince her that, like, you are gorgeous. But now I see that there's this constant skinny shaming, and it's really, really frustrating, because it's like, we were doing so good, and you messed it up. And also, I just want to add on that, like, the fact that there's the Real Beauty campaign, and I did not see a single trans woman, was really frustrating.
Yeah.
I think trans women are really hot.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I think general consensus is that general consensus doesn't actually exist. And usually people's ideas of what the general consensus is whatever they want it to be, which can be something that they disagree with. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of people who think that the general consensus is that fat women are uglier than skinny women, but they don't like that. And I'm sure there are lots of people who think that fat women are just as good, if not better, than skinny women, and they think the opposite or whatever.
I think there's too much one-upsmanship in the world of being a female. Like, do you really have to be better than everybody else? Well, I don't feel like I have to.
There's just a lot of individuals with a lot of individual opinions, and trying to generalize the entire population with one single opinion is troubling.
I agree with that sentiment.
If I can try and tie all of that together, actually, can I quickly ask Catie, as a kid, were you ever confused by Barbie's lack of nipples and pubes?
I don't really think I thought about it. I don't think I was confused about it. I have no idea.
Being a lesbian, as I got older, I was severely disappointed.
I'll tell an anecdote, if I may, which is, I think this is one of those things about, although I'm not a card-carrying feminist exactly, it's one of those things about being, I suppose, having the more feminist mindset, is when you start to wonder if you overthink and overanalyze. Which was, I was putting a package together, and I was shopping to send somebody stuff, and there's a new baby in the house. And where I live, there's a really good market for, like, for like, good. I'm a bargain hunter. I'm a bargain junkie. And there was these baby grows. I don't know if you call them baby grows over there, as in the onesies for babies. Yeah, we say baby. We literally call them baby grows. And they were £1 each. And I don't know how it is over there, but in the UK, £1 for a set of baby grows is an amazingly good bargain. But guess what? They had the Barbie logo on them, the Barbie slogan, logo, whatever you call it. And that's it. They're just white baby onesies, but with the Barbie logo. And instinctively, I wanted to reject it because it's Barbie, and there's a lot of reasons to object to Barbie. And then when I got home, I thought, right, first of all, you're buying this for a 2-month-old. you're not making any kind of impression to do with gender roles or anything on this other 2-month-old who doesn't know what pink is, never mind what Barbie means or whatever. 2, how badly is the Barbie Baby Grow range going if they're selling for £1 each, and I could have taken advantage of their poor product placement and them handling their business badly to help out parents who aren't rich in a difficult economy, and they get through baby grows, they're shatting 100 times, and then they're grown out of, where I kind of think it's that kind of feminist brain goes into overdrive thing, where my intention and the textbook I'm working from with my rejection of Barbie was well-intentioned, my heart's in the right place, but did I actually make a slightly stupid decision because ultimately it's baby grows for £1, for heaven's sake. Does anybody have an opinion on that?
I definitely feel that way a lot about many things.
You could have adjusted it so that the Barbie logo was something else.
I wish I had your creative mindset. I always envy your creativity, Queenie.
I have to agree. I think that it gets frustrating once you finally enter the world of understanding feminism and ableism and racism, because then you realize that it's everywhere.
You also realize that you've done it yourself when you were a kid.
Oh God. Don't even get... I want to go back in time and punch me from 7th grade.
You might give yourself a concussion, but then you'd never become a feminist, and then you... I don't know.
It's never ever look at my RuneScape chat logs from when I was 11.
Oh no. Yeah, and it's definitely frustrating, especially talking to people that you care about, and they say something, and you want to say something about it because you know that it's either sexist or whatever, but you don't want to be that douchebag. So it's definitely troubling, and I think it does affect just the way you live, because you tend to second-guess almost everything.
I definitely look at the me from my 20s, and I see through a different lens as someone more educated in these things. And it's all the fairly subtle, fairly pervasive things, but once you put them all... my analogy that I use for this is, it's like knowing that most of the iceberg is beneath the surface, and at some point you develop sonar. Okay, so, we'll start with Bun. Any thoughts?
I agree, because looking back, it's very easy to, or it's very difficult to see all of the things that we've said and done that could be considered anti-feminist or just very sexist. And the idea that we once said those things with a clean conscience is kind of disturbing. And I feel like it's one of those things that's both a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, it's it feels good to know, all of the things that are going on around you and being able to call them out and also be opposed to them. But also, sometimes it's very problematic because people you care about have not yet learned about these things or reject them, and to have to go through life constantly seeing all of the sexist and ableist and racist things in the world, and one, knowing that they're there, but also feeling powerless because you feel like you're the only one willing to call it out, and that you can't really do anything about it, is just a really shitty feeling.
Yeah. I was looking for stuff recently, because it's... I don't know, obviously I think I'm older than everybody else in the call, but I can remember when Friends began. I was 13, and Friends felt really progressive at the time. I was looking at this partly from a point of view of body image, because body image, I think, was an issue for both men and women, that everybody's picked out as male model type number 2, female model type number 3. But there were loads of problematical thing in Friends, which obviously started 20 years ago, ended 10 years ago, which never struck me at the time at all, and ethnicity-wise, it's set in New York, and it's almost exclusively white. And when I was aged like 13 to 23 when the show was on, never noticed. Hello?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, so we've had the bun. Catie, your thoughts?
I don't really have anything to add. I pretty much feel similarly.
Okay, Queenie?
Yeah, same page pretty much. I have yet to awaken, but I'm getting there.
Excellent. We all agree. Ah, c'est fantastique. Okay, so I'll introduce the next topic then. And I feel so old now. I know I'm the only... I can't believe... Friends began 20 years ago, and I was 13. And that's like a piece of period drama now. Though, to be honest, not the worst, because I want to do a series analysing the history of TV shows. And there are some sitcoms that are quite horrendous when you look back on them. But that's a big subject. So, sorry, everything sounds different. Can I just check that everybody's definitely here?
Yes.
I'm here.
Okie dokie. Okay, so the next topic is something that I think is entirely British, called Neck Nominate, unless it's Neck Nominate, which is basically really stupid drinking dares, which sometimes it's just drink a pint of vodka, sometimes it's drink some stupid combination of alcohols, sometimes it's includes, in this instance, Aaron Johnson downs 4 dead mice, grasshoppers, spiders and nettles. I believe he used a blender, and he drank this with vodka, lager and milk. The Royal Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Animals aren't pleased, and there are videos online of this shit happening. There have, to my knowledge, and they've both been young British men, there have been 2 deaths caused by Neck Nominate. So, young British men are daring each other to do really stupid stuff that can kill them. I'm not even sure how to phrase that as a question, but sorry to pick on you again, I'm just so fixated on the alphabet thing. So, Bun?
Wow, that sounds like every day in America. Okay. I mean, I don't understand how someone could be like, hey man, hey, I got an idea. I need you to take these mice, okay? And then I'm gonna need you to take these grasshoppers and this metal and then put it all in this blender and drink it. And then somehow, conceivably, this guy went, that is a great idea. And I'm just trying to process that level of stupidity. Like, were you already drunk when you thought of that? You had to have been severely intoxicated to think that that's remotely a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there's some element of peer pressure there, but then why is it just that it tends to be young men, particularly because there's peer pressure in any, for anybody, isn't there? And it just sort of, and if people are dying from this, why is it still a thing? So, Catie?
You know what this reminds me of?
The
cinnamon challenge.
Yes!
That never killed anyone.
It could kill you if you suffocated and choked.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Many people have been hospitalized. I don't know if they've died, but it's very dangerous. You could die. There was one other challenge that was popular, somewhat, it was shortly after the cinnamon challenge, but they were pretty much recurring, together. I don't remember what it was, though, but that was, even more dangerous.
Wow.
Is there, some choking game? It would
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
choked yourself out as far as you possibly could or something.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. I don't remember.
I thought it was like you had somebody else choke you until you passed out.
There was also, less dangerously, the ice and salt thing, where you would sprinkle salt on your skin and then stick an ice cube on it. And I don't know if you've ever actually seen a video of it, but essentially it would burn off like a chunk of your skin.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that. I've seen... Yeah.
It would leave a scar. It wouldn't be a permanent scar. The skin would grow back, but it looked really painful.
I have seen that thing where it's freezing cold outside, it's like snowy, icy weather, and you throw a cup of boiling water into the wind, but sometimes it blows straight back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it creates a massive like cascade, but it can still hurt if it throws itself back at you.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, this story sounds funny, but these are guys in their early 20s. And you just kind of think a whole life got wasted there because somebody dared you to, like, drink something. And I just sort of... And it's not necessarily when it's the really stupid stuff. I can't imagine even downing a pint of vodka in one go. I don't think I could. I think my body would... I almost admire somebody who can down a pint of vodka. Well, I'm quite a heavy drinker. Certainly I have been. And then you talk about the sort of mixing of cocktails and how much of this is peer pressure and exactly how much must you crave people's approval. But, sorry, Queenie, we didn't hear your full point of view.
Oh, young people do dumb shit all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this isn't
Especially if you have something to prove.
This isn't technically anything new. I mean, the practice itself might be new-ish, but this is just another episode of Jackass as far as I'm concerned.
Oh. But with fatalities. Did he ever die on Jackass?
Maybe. I've never actually seen them.
I don't think anybody's died, but they've been hospitalized and then, like, didn't come back to do another one.
Oh, okay.
Of the drinking, or...?
No, of the Jackass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nobody died on that show.
If it's a machismo thing, I can kind of understand, because where I grew up, which I'm now living in again, it was very common, like, you kind of prove your maleness through eating the spiciest curry by drinking a lot of lager, and you're supposed to steal traffic cones or any street furniture. It's like that's like a macho initiation thing. But the thing is, if you're stealing traffic cones, you might get arrested, and then, yeah, you've been arrested, but I really think if it's like young men betting young men, you can't do this, you can't do that, there's a big difference between risking a night in the cells and risking your life.
Yeah, like I said, I think that a lot of those decisions that were made had to have been done, like, post-intoxication, because I don't think I've ever seen, like, machismo go that far unless there's been some kind of, like, narcotics or something involved, because, like, I mean, the only way, or the only other way that could possibly be a viable outcome, like death, is for that person to already have a death wish. And, I mean, if there's only been 2 deaths so far, I mean, it's very likely that maybe perhaps one of them was that situation. But, I'm gonna go on the, dare I say, lighter, stance on it and say I think that they were probably drunk beforehand.
That doesn't even seem that dangerous, though. I mean, you're just drinking, right? There's this sort of, there's a thing with people in general that I tend to notice, and it's stronger in some people than others. It's this sense that to some extent you are invincible. And it tends to be more prevalent in young people. But there's this idea of, oh, we're just drinking, it's just a cricket, it's just nettles, it's just some mice, you know. There's this vague idea that it's not going to hurt you.
Okay, so there's been this song, which apparently, song and video, which seems to be from the Church of Latter-day Saints, etc. So a bunch of Mormon men who have a message telling women how to dress in order to be respected by them. The word sluts appears various times in the song. So essentially we have, I believe it's a One Direction parody. I think it's rather catchy, which is annoying given that some of the lyrics are rather offensive, even if some of the lyrics maybe less so, but the general message, the general attitude I don't like. I think it's tragic in a way that it's catchy, so I might find myself singing this song publicly when it's slut-shaming and body-policing. Also, I think those are some rather hot Mormons, and when I shared this on Facebook, I did so with the caption, they could at least have stripped for us. And basically, we have literally all just watched this video, and going alphabetically again. Bun, your opinion?
I would just like to point out that just when I thought that this was a whitewashed video, they brought out the token black guy, because they just wanted to make sure that they had their street cred ready. And they really should work on their vocals. I mean, if you're gonna, or I agree, they should have stripped. If you're gonna suck at singing, at least look pretty. And I just think it was kind of, it's one of those things, it was so outrageously horrible that, like, all I could really do was laugh. It was one of those things that it's like, I couldn't even take it seriously, because it's like, how could they take themselves seriously? How could you, living in this century, look at the lyrics that you are writing down in parody to this song and going, oh yes, this is most definitely the right thing to say. And the idea that, I mean, did they not think they were going to get any backlash for this?
Well, bearing in mind, it's only a couple of weeks ago that we saw, I think not the only one, but you know, a Mormon anti-masturbation video. So we've gone from boys don't masturbate, girls don't show any of your body, or you can't be respected in your trash. So, yeah, I don't know. But I personally think if you're not allowed to masturbate, you're going to get very frustrated, because you're also not allowed to look at people, and you take that frustration out on other people, perhaps. I don't know, that's me playing amateur psychologist here. I do think it's a shame, because they look like nice young men who have been brainwashed, I think.
Mormons don't like to have any fun.
It's true. They're basically like what Puritans were when they came over to America.
Me. The only one with street cred around here is me. I just want to say that right now. Me.
What?
I have all the street cred. It's mine. You can't have it, Mormons. I have all the street cred. The Mormons can't have any.
But the Mormons have a black friend.
Well, I have a neck tattoo on the front of my neck, which gives me instant street cred, and more street cred than the Mormons.
Oh, okay. More street cred than Mormons?
Yes, all the Mormons. I have more street cred than all of them.
Well, I almost have a level 17 fletchling, so I have more street cred than you.
Oh, snap. I'm going to have to get more tattoos to make up for this.
I am literally the token white friend amongst my friends, so I think I have more street cred than the Mormons.
Literally everyone in my town is white.
Wow.
That's false. 96% of us are white.
Wow.
Like, Google Danville, Indiana.
Wow. I don't know how many minorities
There's
live
like
in the area.
There's like 9,000 of us and probably like 10 black people.
That sounds like my high school that I went to in Kansas. Except it was more like 1,000 to 3 or something. It was, I don't know. I don't trust white people, so like it's weird to describe it.
Yeah, I think the most infuriating thing about this was just like, it's one of those things where it's like people, I think, are always going to look badly at you if you wear a shirt that cuts just a little too low or a skirt that's too high. And it's gotten to the point where I can brush that off, and I think a lot of people can. But to police someone's body so hard, especially in terms of, like, telling boys they can't masturbate, and also not even taking into account that girls masturbate hella much, is...
Oh, yeah.
is, like, just so insulting, and just, like, where do you get off telling someone that they're not allowed to do something? Oh, wait, they don't get off.
Haha, they don't get off.
Indeed. Yeah, because we barely have Mormons here, and I basically know about it from Catie Pirate, because he's an ex-Mormon who got the fuck away from that religion as fast as he could.
It's an American religion. Like, it was
It
originated
is. Joseph
in America.
Smith.
It's very weird that there are Mormons other than America, or in places other than America, I mean.
There are.
Well, they go on missions and stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly to impoverished places.
Even in London. There are a couple of churches of Latter-day Saints, blah, 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 in London. They've spread here. So, yeah, it's bizarre, because it's an example of how religion in the common model. Sorry to any theists listening, but this is what always gets me, is when you get to the past 100 years or so, history is so well recorded that you know if it's made up by a con man or a minister who was fired from a mainstream church and then happened to discover the one true faith, or a science fiction writer. Hubbard. And let's face it, Joseph Smith, the story itself, it's transparently fraudulent. It's you know, anything from the past couple of 100 years, you can see the magician doing the trick, and they never really do anything good with it. Just as Scientology's got fucked up things, Kabbalah's got fucked up things. They feel the need to include fucked up things about women generally, I think. Like, is it Kabbalah or Scientology that there's no drugs during childbirth and you're not allowed to scream during childbirth?
I thought that was Scientology.
Is that I think that's Scientology.
You're
okay.
not allowed to scream?
Something about negative energy or some shit.
Yeah, a 20th century religion says no drugs in childbirth and no screaming in childbirth. That was something that Tom Cruise's wife said no to, and good for her. But then, why the fuck are you marrying a Scientologist?
Because you love them?
Sorry?
Because you love them?
Well, yes, all right, fair enough. I can understand that, and I can understand fancying Tom Cruise, I suppose, but ish. Kind of, a bit. But, I mean, I've lost the thread of what I'm saying. Somebody else take over.
Same reason why I'm attracted to a vegan.
I don't mind vegans, but I'll say one thing. The last time I was in conversation with a vegan, I asked her what's the ethical issue with drinking cow's milk, and she had to Google it. If you have to Google your own belief system, shut up.
Wow. Well, I mean, you know why now, don't you?
Well, that some of the calves are killed, I suppose. It's that a certain number of calves are killed because they only need so many bulls, because it's a herd system. So the milk you're drinking is the milk that would have been drunk by the male baby.
That, and generally, cows are very mistreated on such farms. I mean, your best bet, to be totally, what's the word? Cruelty-free, with you drinking milk as if you were to own a cow and, let it be happy on your own land and milk it.
I want to own a cow.
You'd run out of milk eventually. It would just get really old and stop producing it.
I would so own a cow. Sorry.
I would own a cow too. They are adorable.
I would
very
do so many things with a cow.
And I love how I just defended how you shouldn't drink milk, even though I do, use milk in my own cooking. But I don't drink it because it's gross and I don't like it.
Well, you're not a vegan who had to Google their own morals.
That's
true. If I were talking to a Christian and they had to Google their own shit, I'd be like, what the fuck? Sorry, Bun, carry on.
I feel like that's how a lot of Mormons are. I don't think I've ever met either a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness that hasn't had to, look over the little pamphlet they were trying to give me before they, answered my question. Because it's one of those things, it's very similar to how I felt when I watched the Bill Nye versus Ken Ham debate on evolution versus creationism. It's like, if you can give me some viable reasons, then I won't judge. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're not hurting anybody and you have viable reasons for what you believe, then, carry on with your own stuff. But religion and your stance on how other people should dress and use their bodies is a lot like a dick. It's okay to have one. It's okay to be proud of it. But if you whip it out in front of me or my children and try to shove it down either of our throats, I'm going to kill you.
Yes. The meme that everyone has seen.
So there you go. And do we have any more thoughts on this?
We got a little derailed there.
The cows. But the cows.
But the cows indeed.
Save the cows. That's my final statement.
Yes, save the cows, please.
But these Mormon guys who all modesty is the best policy, don't be a slut, yada yada, they clearly genuinely do believe that they're doing the right thing, and yes, you can say that they're brainwashed, but there is a broader social thing going on there, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It comes down to... That's always what I've had against organized religion, is that, I can I can understand if you were to teach not only your own theology, but also other theologies and go, well, this is why I believe it, and let your kid choose from there. But if you're going to force your child to believe in this and then not even let them branch out because it's sinful, then I just think that's doing your own child a disservice.
Yeah. And personally, I wouldn't raise children to be anything. I would give my children lessons at home, where at a certain age, maybe 7 or 8, teach them Noah's Ark, but also teach them the food chain, and let them raise their hand, let them ask questions if it doesn't make sense to them, give them the chance to think. Definitely wouldn't raise children vegan, even if I was vegan. I did used to be vegetarian. Wouldn't raise children vegan because you've got to be so responsible doing that in terms of health. And I'm afraid I have to take another recording break, so 3, 2, 1. So into the final segment, and basically, it's a bit lame, but my final thought from this week is that I found out there are YouTube channels where you can watch Doctor Who with fan commentaries, and it's
Sounds
interesting.
terrible.
Actually, no, it's interesting because one of them is a young woman, like a teenage girl, who's like a fan of the new series, who's watching classic Doctor Who from the beginning, and you get her first reactions to classic Who from the beginning. So she's enjoying the Hartnell episodes from the beginning, and actually you'd think she'd say, oh, it's black and white, oh, he's old, and complaining about how slow it is. Actually, she's enjoying it. And also, more recently, there's another very recent hooligan who literally, because of Tumblr, became a new Doctor Who fan, having never heard of the show, just in, like literally this year, who's providing his literal, this is my reaction to these episodes, starting with the first episode of the new series, where actually I'm enjoying, he's still on the Eccleston one, and I'm enjoying watching classic Who with her and new Who with him. I feel like I'm watching it with an innocent newborn, experiencing the wonders of Who, and they're so sweet. It's like, oh my god! And for a lifelong Whovian like myself, who was watching, I was watching classic Who before I was 5, and I can remember. So it means a lot to me to share something like that with the younglings. It's a sweet thing. I enjoy it. So that's a thing I found on YouTube, and I know it sounds lame, but that's the thing that came to mind. But yes, things from our last week. The bun.
Well, I'll start on a negative note and then end it on a positive. I had done an experiment this past week where I would dress either more masculine or more neutral to and just carry about my day and talk to people. And when I did this, I noticed that people seemed to value what I was saying much more than when I would dress more femininely and put on my wig and had very long hair and wore a dress and stuff, which was upsetting because it seems like that mentality of you'll only get respect if you're not worrying about your looks is very rampant in society. But on a very good note, I've found that a lot more trans and non-binary people have started taking hold of YouTube a lot more thanks to Tumblr. And there's been a lot more tutorial videos on like how to bind back your chest or how to make yourself look chesty if you're a guy, and different makeup tutorials, and just general channels, sometimes not even focusing on their gender identity. And it's just really nice to see people being more open with themselves.
Cool. And Catie?
So do you guys know what Nuzlocke is?
Nuzlocke?
Nuzlocke, N like as in nutcracker. Nuzlocke is a challenge on Pokemon where you have to catch the first Pokemon you meet on a new route, and if they faint, then they're considered dead and you have to release them. I started a Nuzlocke on Pokemon Y, and I failed miserably, and I feel sad. So I'm just gonna play normally and pretend that I'm not bad at video games.
Okay, and Queenie?
I had a dream that somebody stole my skirt on the train, and I was more upset that they stole my skirt than I was at not wearing pants.
Okay. And can you describe the thief?
Actually, no, I don't know who did it. Which you think you would know who stole your skirt when you were supposedly wearing it moments ago, but I just don't.
Aha.
They must have been invisible.
The invisible thieves are definitely the worst. I mean, you can't do like a Photoshop or anything. Photo fit, I mean to say, sorry. Well, you could, but, Okay. So, I suppose we're wrapping things up. I'll tell you what, I'll open the floor. Does anybody have any suggested kind of topics? I think we've had a good blend tonight of people. Are there any suggested kind of areas or topics for future shows?
I think it would be interesting to look into the idea of cultural appropriation, which has been taking part a lot. We see stars like Miley Cyrus, basically just a lot of white people trying to take things away from the culture of people of color, and it's really shitty, and I think it definitely needs to be addressed.
I must have missed this. About the last thing I knew about Miley Cyrus was that, was the wrecking ball and the whole twerking thing. What's happened since?
Basically, what's happened is, well, first of all, she has a lot of Native American like symbolism tattoos, which are, from my viewpoint of having a Native American dad and being in that environment, is really offensive, because it's also not symbolism that's like universal. Like, you know how there's some things in a culture where it's like they're very happy to share that, but then there's other parts where it's like that's kind of sacred to those people, and if you dabble within that, it's pretty disrespectful. And the same thing is happening with black culture, and it's just very frustrating. And I mean, don't even get me started on the Miley Cyrus's constant objectification of black women. So it's done not only by her but several people, and I feel like it's something that's definitely worth looking at.
Okay.
I think we should talk about gay porn.
Okay, Kate, tell us about gay porn. Please do.
Oh, yes.
It's hot, and I like it.
Great.
Yeah.
Aha. I write some sometimes. I'll send you some at some point.
Oh, I want some too.
Yay. And Queenie?
I got nothing.
You can't compete with Miley Cyrus and gay porn.
Nobody can compete with that.
Hopefully not in the same thing happening there. I don't want Miley Cyrus in my gay porn. No, thank you.
I am completely with you there. I think we're on the same page there. Okay, so, let's go round in a circle and have our sign off. Last week I had Dinosaur Grr, so I don't know. I don't know what to say this week. I don't know. Blickle! Bun, can we have your sign off and goodbye?
Pickle!
Pickle is good. Okay, Katie?
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Excellent. And Queenie?
You other brothers can't deny.
When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist.
And the red thing in your face. You get it wrong.
So, and there you have it.
Because I am hung.
So, the conclusion of yet another episode of London After Midnight, featuring
Even
Noah.
though none of us are from London except you.
Yes, but I am hosting.
That's true.
But yes. In fact, not only am I the only person in London, I'm the only person for whom it is after midnight.
You should just say English speakers after midnight.
Is London After Midnight sounds right. It's a horror film, it's a band, it just sounds cool, okay?
Let the man end his show.
Okay.
Yes, featuring none other than the bum, Lady of the Slade, who changed her name, Catie, who changed their name throughout the show for some reason, and of course, regular now, because she's been on all 3 episodes so far, SchizophrenicQueen. For now, good night, YouTube, good night, everyone.